Welcome to Safe Space Arena. I'm Jennifer. For those who might not know me, I am a counseling psychologist and I am a writer, and I am the host of some of the shows on this platform. So today we have introduced something new, which is something related to child psychology. We are having a new team member. Her name is Marylin Kamara, and she specializes in child psychology. She will be teaching us everything we need to know about that entire field. And she will not just be talking about child psychology only. She will also be telling us stuff about family therapy, training and mentorship for young people, therapy for teenagers. It's a whole connection of things that Marylin does, and it's all related to young people and teenagers and their families. So in that spirit, we have started a new segment on Safe Space Arena, and the segment is called Raising the Next Generation. Marylin is the person who will be helping us understand how we can raise the next generation by applying child psychology principles into everyday life to make sure that you're raising responsible kids and you're building a good future generation. With that said, Marylin should be joining the live in the next few minutes. And today we are talking about resilience. We are talking about what resilience is, why we need to be resilient. If that is something you've ever asked yourself, then today you're going to get all the answers. We're going to be discussing all matters to do with resilience. What is resilience? How do people become resilient? How do people struggle with resilience? What makes people struggle with will be answered today by Marylin. And yeah, if that is something that you are curious about, please join us to understand more on that particular topic. So Marylin is in the live now. Hi, Marylin.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Very well, thank you. Can you hear and see me clearly?
Yes, I can.
That's fantastic. So you found me introducing the new segment we have on Safe Space Arena. And as I said, the new segment on Safe Space Arena is called Raising the Next Generation. And it is about using child psychology principles to make everyday living easier, to make everyday parenting easier, to raise responsible children. And you are our in-house experts. As the new team member, you're our in-house experts on child psychology and family therapy and dealing with teenagers, helping them become better people. You're our in-house experts on training and mentorship for the youth. So this is basically your show, and I'm very excited to be part of it. You're just welcoming me on your show, so I'm very excited to be part of it. With that said, I'll give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about who you are and what you do before we jump into the conversation about resilience. Just introduce yourself to everybody.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jennifer. You already feel welcome in this space. My name is Marylin Kamara. I'm a counseling psychologist by profession and a trainer, but my focus area is child, adolescent, and the youth. So I have a passion for the young people, and that's why I am here today, because we just want to say that we are raising a generation, and we want to equip our next generation to be better than who we are. Yeah, so I'm glad to be here and to be associated with you. Thank you so much.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for coming through. We are very happy to hear everything that you have in store for us. And today we are talking about resilience and resilience in general. Today we are not going to be going into specifics. We're going to be touching on resilience in general because there's a huge number of people who don't know what resilience is and they are curious about resilience. And yeah, that's what we're going to be covering. We're going to be talking about everything to do with resilience. I think it's a good idea for us to just get into it so that we do not take too much time. And I'm going to ask you this just outright in the beginning. What is resilience? Like the word is thrown around, but what exactly is resilience?
Yeah, maybe in a layman's language, we can say resilience is the ability to bounce back. Like the way you throw a ball up and down and it bounces back to you. That is exactly what we mean when we say resilient. But now in more psychological terms, resilience is about having that capacity that it's normally a mental and emotional process, both of them, yeah? Having that stamina, the stability, the capacity to be able to get back on your feet especially after you go through a traumatic experience, after you go through a hard time in life, after you go through a challenge, that ability of being able to pick up yourself and get on with life. Yeah, that is what we want to say it resilient in layman's language today. Yeah.
Okay, that's quite interesting. I'm just thinking about all the difficult things you have gone through. Some of us, uh, most of us went through COVID by themselves in their own houses for 2 years, and there was no one to connect with. Most people could not travel to go home, especially when there was the lockdown. Um, is that something that could have made us less resilient or more resilient? Like, do we do best in adversity and become resilient, or does adversity break us down, make us less resilient? What exactly tests our resilience? How do we know?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that, because now that is very valid. Because each one of us go through some challenges in life, like COVID-19. Everybody went through this thing. You know, it was a level playing field for each and every person, whether you are rich, whether you are poor, and it affected almost each and every person on the same level. So resilience, it's different for different people. Yeah, and that's why we are saying some people are able to pull through a difficult time and come out strong. Actually, some people don't just survive through an adversity, they thrive, you know, they use that setback as a comeback. So,
Oh,
for
who are these
example,
people? Connect me. I want to become these people.
uh, that's why we are here today, because
Yeah.
now we want to live. You know, for us, COVID-19, I normally tell our viewers that it was a wake-up call for us to know that anything can happen anytime. As much as right now, me and you, we feel like we are kind of stable,
Yeah.
we are okay. Anything can happen that can throw you off balance. So, what will make a difference between me and you, or the person who is resilient and who is not, is how we bounce back, how we use that adversity, how we use that challenge, how we use that hardship and come out of it more stronger, sometimes even more wiser, you know. Yeah, I like telling the story of the eagle. You know, the eagle gets excited when there's storm. Yeah, because when I look at the eagle and the other birds, I can say that eagle is more resilient than other birds, because when the storm is coming, instead of taking shelter like the other birds, they hide in their nest to run away from the rain, to run away from the storm. The eagle gets excited because it sees that storm as a just as something that it can use to rise up above the storm. Yeah. So that for me is resilient, you know, how you use adversity, hardship, the challenge, you know, that traumatic event, and to get out of it as a better person. Yes, it happened, but there are these things that you do within yourself so that you get out of it better. Yeah. And that's why we said it's both a mental process and an emotional process, because it will take so much of your mental strength and so much of your emotional strength. Yeah. So back to you, Jenny. Thank
Yeah,
you.
there's something you mentioned there about how different people will react to the difficult situations. And
Mm-hmm.
you've mentioned that some people are going to be eagles and some people are going to be regular birds and they're going to hide in their nests. So what makes that different? Why are some people more resilient than others? Is it something inborn? Is it something environmental? Is it something that people learn? What exactly, what makes it different between me and you? What makes it that we can go through the same situation and both of us come out different?
Yeah, as you said, Jennifer, it is true. Different people react differently, and there are some factors here. Just some of them. We can mention about 2, 3 factors that will make people react differently to these issues, to these challenges when they come. Number one, it is the personality trait. You know, all of us have different personalities. So some personalities are more predisposed. They are more susceptible to stress, and they're not able to pick up themselves so quickly. Yeah? So the personality of a person will determine whether this person will be resilient, or whether whatever has happened, whatever hardship, adversity, or whatever it is will bring you down. So personality, number one, is a factor that you look into. Something else is environmental, you know, factors that are within your environment. When all this are happening, you know, do you have a support system? You know, people that you can count on, people that can hold your hand, that can walk with you, people, you can fall back to. So environmental factors also, they also determine how resilient a person can be. Something else is genetics. When you talk about genetics, it's about, it is in your bloodline, the way you react to things, you are predisposed. Actually, the word for any genetic factor is you are already predisposed because you carry it in your blood system. Yeah. So another thing would be experience. Yeah. Because life itself we say life is a teacher. Because through life, through all the experiences that you go, everything that you go through is a learning experience. So some people have learned capacity. They were not born with it. They do not have the factors, they didn't have the factors of the environmental factors like the support system within them, but they have gone through so many things that they have learned through experience. Yeah, so those are some of the factors that can affect someone on how you respond to these issues of life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Actually, I'm very curious about the personality part.
Mm-hmm.
Is this based on like the introvertness and the extrovertness, or is this one of those personality taken out from that ocean, the one for openness, conscientiousness, neuroticism, extroversion, and all that? Which type of personality are you talking about? And which kind of personality struggle more with resilience than others?
Mm-hmm. Okay, especially when you look at the big five, there are many types of personality. If you look at the big five, that is the ocean, the openness, conscientiousness, the other one is neuroticism, all that. You can pick a personality and you look at it from both sides, Like, let's pick the first personality from the ocean. The ocean is the acronym for the big five, yeah? So when you look at openness, there are people who are open to experiences. They are open to challenges. These are people who will be more resilient than, let me just take openness versus neuroticism. Neurotic person, they just take everything as a catastrophe. Whatever happens, they look at it from the extreme side, on the borderline. So when you look at these two personalities, for example, someone who has openness, they are free, they have a free spirit, they are open to new experiences, and whatever they go through, whether it is a bad experience, whether it is a traumatic experience, a traumatic event, they embrace it with an open mind. Yeah. While on the other side, someone who has a closed mind or neurotic aspect of personality, they will now get down. This thing will bring them down because they are not open to experience. They are rigid, they are fixed. They see things from a fixed perspective. Even if you look at it from the other personality, the temperaments, you remember the sanguine, the phlegmatic, the choleric, and then there's melancholic. When you look at it from that temperament aspect, for example, a sanguine has a free spirit. They're very outgoing. They are life of the party, and sometimes they also go through challenges. Like I said, everybody is you're open to go through these things as long as you live. But a sanguine will do better in a challenge or rather in adversity than a melancholic, because melancholic, they are sad, they take time, they are thinkers, they are very slow to react. But a sanguine will be very quick to adjust to the situation. When you take a sanguine to a new place, like for example, let's say during COVID, you got caught up. You were traveling maybe from Europe back to Kenya. Then you got caught up at some place, a strange place, and you were locked down there. A sanguine will do better because they will interact with people very quickly. They are open to new experiences. They'll interact. They'll just have fun in that funny situation. While on the other side, if someone who has a melancholic personality temperament, this person will be so sad. They will not even have a life because they have this fixed mindset that I wanted to go home. I was supposed to get home in the next flight. Now I am stuck here. They start now getting absorbed in that chaotic moment. Yeah. So personality really matters. Back to you, Jenny.
That is quite interesting. Give me 1 second to just put my phone on silent. I've noticed somebody will call me. Just 1 second.
All right.
I'm back. So the thing about that you mentioned about personality, and I want anybody who's listening to understand, when you hear us mention ocean, we're talking about the big five personality traits. This is something that you can Google, and the big five are, the ocean is the acronym, as Marylin has mentioned, and O stands for openness to experience. C stands for conscientiousness. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that well, but Kizungu si lugha chetu. E stands for extraversion, and A stands for agreeableness, and N stands for neuroticism. So if you are curious about personality types, you can check out the big five, or you can just Google ocean personalities, and you're going to see what that means. And so the thing about this personality thing is that nobody is just one thing. We fall on a spectrum. So just because you're open to experiences does not mean that now that's the only thing that you are. There's some people who are very, very open to experiences. Some people are mildly open to experiences. Some people are completely closed off from new experiences. They do not like those new things that disrupt their world. And so with these five, everybody falls on a spectrum. So don't feel that because that it's binary at, you need to be either open or not open. That's not how it works. Personalities are on a spectrum, as many things in psychology are on a spectrum. So that's what you mean, and you can check that out to learn more about the big five personalities. I think that is important for guys to understand. I'm very curious about when you mentioned the environmental factors, and you mentioned about especially when people have a support system, people that they can fall back on when they're going through something difficult. What happens to people who do not really have a social circle, people who do not have friends, and especially right now in the era of loneliness, it is being considered a pandemic on its own, a global pandemic. What happens to people who do not have any access to friends and a social circle? How do they deal with their lives, and what do they do because they lack now resilience, or what's Ebu reacts to that?
Quite interesting, yeah. I remember, I'll take you back to COVID-19. Everybody was locked down, and issues of loneliness really came up, yeah? Because one thing you'll agree with me, Jenny, is that human beings, from the social psychology, we are social animals, yeah? And as a human being, when you are not socializing, actually, you get into loneliness. And loneliness is an ingredient for depression, yeah? So during COVID-19, I remember we were all locked up. For example, if I live alone, I couldn't get out of my house. You couldn't go to the shop. You couldn't go to town. You couldn't, just go and meet up with your family or friends. But necessity is the mother of invention, because during COVID-19, that is why we came up with things like what we are doing right now. People knew, so there are other ways you can connect, yeah? Because when I'm talking about social support, I mean you connect with the community, you can connect with family, you can connect with friends. But remember, all these people you are connecting with, because you're looking for social support system. I normally tell my clients that it is always good to know the kind of people you are connecting with. I call them OQP. That means you connect with only quality people. Are these people who are adding some quality, some value in your life, And back to your question, you said there are people who are not able to connect and all that. I can tell them nowadays there are so many ways to connect. It is just a choice. Because remember, back to the personality, there are personalities who are very good in keeping to themselves, In fact, they find that comfort company in themselves. They don't really do well in a crowd. But there are many ways you can connect, yeah? And remember, you're connecting to only quality people. You'd rather have one or two people who are very quality to you as a person, that even if I stay for 1 month or 2 months before speaking to this person, anytime I call upon this person comes through. That's all about support system. Doesn't mean like you need to be surrounded by a crowd, because depending on your personality, not everybody does well in a crowd. But we can always remember, like I said, we need to be open to experiences, open to changes. You can always find out, which other way can I connect with people? Is there an online community that I can join? And nowadays there are so many communities online. You just look for something that is in common with you. If you are a poet, you can look for an online community of poets that you can join. And this is what we call support system. Yeah. Thank you, Jenny. Back to you.
Yeah, that's quite, I agree with you a lot. If anybody out there is listening and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know how to connect with friends, worry not. In the future, we're going to be talking about how to make friendships. But right now, I can tell you what Marylin is saying is that go connect with even an online community. A virtual community still counts. So connect with quality people who add to your life. It's when it comes to friendships and relationships, it's not really about the quantity, it's about the quality. So look out for getting connected to people who actually serve a purpose in your life. You don't have to connect with 100 friends. As long as you have 2-3 good friends, people you can always call on, I think that is more than sufficient. So Marylin, that's quite the information. Thank you so much for answering that question and giving us so much feedback. I'm very curious about the difference between people who are resilient and people who are not resilient. How do we know people are not, like, if I was looking at my life right now and I was trying to assess if I am resilient or not, how do you know a person is not resilient? What are the characteristics of unresilient people? I don't even know if unresilient is a word, but yeah, what are the characteristics?
Yeah, maybe that's a better way to look at it, yeah? Because, for today, we just want to get to understand what is this word. I usually hear people, pushing it across over and over, resilient. So today we can look at it from this perspective. What are the characteristics of people who are not resilient? So that after this, when you have to do some self-reflection, you can see, am I resilient or am I not? Do I have some characteristics of a resilient person or not? So a person who is not resilient, Jennifer, you'll find that they are not adaptable to change. They are the way things are done. And that is the only way I know, Because I remember a lot of us had trouble during COVID-19. Like you tell me we have an online meeting, I would wonder how. Huh? So a resilient person will adapt to change very quickly. But someone who is not resilient, they find it very difficult to adapt to any changes. They want life to be in a certain way, They want things that have a certain order, They go a certain particular direction. And when this thing doesn't happen the way they want, they consider that a disruption, They find it chaotic. So they are not adaptable to change. That is a person who is not resilient. Something else, you realize that they're also not open to new experiences. They will always have reservations. Hey, that one, I can't go there. Because it's a new experience and there is a way they are used to how things are supposed to be done. So they are not open and they're not willing to adapt to change. Something else, you'll find out that they're very rigid. They have a fixed mindset. If it is this way, this is how I know this thing is done. Even if you come and tell me, oh, we can have that meeting online because so and so is not available. If I'm not resilient, I tell you no, because my mind is fixed. I'll tell you no. Meetings are supposed to be physical. This is how they are supposed to be done. So they have a fixed mindset or rigid mindset. You'll also find out that people are not resilient. They maintain unhealthy perspective. Something that for sure this one, it's a wrong perspective. Like we can argue about the weather. Let's go back to the weather. When it is raining, I can say it is very bad today just because it's raining. You see, that's unhealthy perspective because I don't want to look at this situation from your point of view. Maybe I am a farmer. When it rains, I just, bless the Lord. Thank God for the rains. I can now go to the farm, I can do something. But then they want you to understand from their perspective. When it rains, it is messy, it is muddy. The means of transport, the traffic jam is chaotic. They want to maintain that perspective, which is unhealthy. They don't want to see things from another perspective. In fact, they have a very negative attitude towards life, towards people, towards things, towards situations, and they maintain that because they want to look at life from only one pair of lenses, you know, like when I'm looking to you, or rather to something, using black sunglasses, everything to me will appear a little bit dark. When I use my sunglasses that have a shade of green, and I look outside, things will appear green, you see? But that is not the reality. It doesn't mean things are green. It's only that I'm looking at the world, or rather I'm looking at the reality using different sunglasses. Yeah, so those are some of the things that you can tell this person is ranking very low on resilient.
Wow,
Thank you.
that reminds me a lot of the cognitive distortions, and especially the black and white thinking, because that is everything you're saying just sounds a lot like black and white thinking. It's about the living in the extremes. There's no room for movement. There are no shades of gray. It's always things are either good or bad. There's no things can be kind of good, kind of bad. People are either good or bad. People hate me or they love me. There's no in between. There's no perspective at all. It's always just one way of seeing things. And that can be quite the challenge, especially in a world that constantly reminds you that things exist at the shades of gray area. That is quite interesting. Yeah, I found that quite to be very eye-opening, and I hope everybody who's listening is getting something out of that, because we are learning that if you live in shades of gray, then you're making your capacity for resilience to go lower and lower. It's impossible to really be resilient when you're hoping that things only go one way, because the world always like changes. The world is always changing. You wake up one morning and things are different.
Yeah.
I wonder how people exist in the shades of in the extremes of black and white. What has been your experience with people who exist in the blacks and whites?
Like you say, there are people who exist in those two extremes, unfortunately. Yeah. But today we want to teach people one thing, Jennifer, that life itself is not a straight line.
Yes.
Yeah. Even the world is a circle, you know. It is a circle. Because if it was something straight, you know, like a square, this way, this way, this way, this way, then we could also say even our thinking is on a straight line. It is either this or that. It is either black or white. But we want to tell people, don't don't be in those two extremes, because by the end of the day, you will be stuck on that one extreme. By the time you come to understand that there are shades of gray, you know, being that flexible to accommodate others, you know, being flexible to see things from other people's perspective, you know, it takes a lot of work. And that's why we said to be resilient, it will take your mental and your emotional energy, your mental and emotional stamina. You need that, because due to the personalities, due to those cognitive distortions, for sure you'll find people who are living on these two extremes. Yeah. And that's why we are saying, when you realize, okay, after a self-reflection, okay, I think I'm living on one of these two extremes. It is always good to work with a therapist to be able to help you to see things from a different perspective, to be able to deconstruct some of those distortions in the cognitive. When you say cognitive is in the mind, you know, in your thought process. And that is not an everything like you'll sleep and wake up and say, now that I am self-aware, I have this distortion, I'm going to change. No, it is a process that will take a lot of CBT for that person to move from this distortion and to see things from another reality, from another perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's quite true. Do you think there are skills that people can practice to become more resilient? Like, if I wanted to become more resilient and I don't have access to a therapist, what are some skills I can start practicing tomorrow morning? Or okay, today evening. Let me be open-minded. Today evening, what skills can I start practicing that will help me develop my resilience?
Number one, remember we said behavior is learned. It can be unlearned and can be relearned. So that is the beauty about anything to do with our behavior. You know, even resilience involves your behaviors and all that, how you behave, how you think, how you feel. So one thing I would tell our viewers is that you can actually train yourself. There are some basic skills, and that's why we are having this program here, because we want people to gain those, they're actually life skills, you know, Life skills, you remember, they are personal, they are interpersonal, and intrapersonal. You know, when you say interpersonal, is skills that help you to relate with other people, between me and you, between me and other people. Then there are skills that we call intrapersonal. These are skills that will help you to know how to relate with yourself. Yeah. And these are the skills that people need to train on. Soft skills. For example, I can just mention a few of the skills that when you train on these skills, it helps you to develop your resilience. Number one, the first basic skill is self-awareness, you know. Self-awareness, just to understand, who am I? Why am I here? What do I want? What is my purpose in life? What is it that I want to achieve? You know, those WH questions, yeah? And when you answer those questions, actually we say all those questions have a question mark, yeah? Because they are questions. You are trying to reflect on yourself, because it's not about other people, it's about you when you want to learn more about self-awareness. When you evaluate those questions and you answer them correctly, you get an answer that has an exclamation mark, you know, the one like this with a dot. Remember, it was a question mark. Once you reflect, evaluate, and answer that question correctly. So the first question is usually, who am I? When you answer that correctly, you get an answer, Jennifer, that will have an exclamation mark from the answer that you get. So self-awareness is a very basic skill that a person can train, and that will help you to work on your resilience. Yeah. Another thing you can learn is effective communication. Yeah. Remember, we're saying is the ability to bounce back. Remember, we said we are not, human beings are social animals. Nobody is an island. You need to connect to people. How are you connecting to these people if you do not know how to effectively communicate to these people? There's some other basic skills, come assertiveness. You know, you need to know how to put boundaries, say no, and say yes to yourself. You need that stamina, that ability. Other skills are like emotional intelligence. You need to know how to understand, how to assess, and how to manage your own emotions, and also how to understand those of others. And by the end of the day, you know that after you learn emotional intelligence, you're able to know you are only able to control your emotions, but not those of others. However, you can understand their emotions, you know. So those are some of the basic skills. Other skills are like you building social support network, like we said. Skills like stress management, you know. They seem so simple, but these are the skills that you need to build your resilience. Things like anger management, yeah, because you remember we said what causes this a person to go down. There are things that are traumatic, sometimes they are very chaotic, sometimes it's a disruption in your life that causes you stress. If you do not have the skills to manage stress, you see now you'll not be resilient, you'll not be able to pick up yourself, you'll not be able to bounce back to where you are. And here, when we are in this program, we want to tell people our aim is not to get you to bounce back. We want you to bounce back and move on, you know, even to be a better person than who you are before that event. Because like I said, on this show, we are using so much of COVID-19. There are people whose businesses were affected. There are people who lost their jobs. You see, that was a traumatic event. It was a sudden and chaotic disruption. You have known that you have a permanent and pensionable job. You have been working, life was good, everything was fine, your kids were in good schools, and just life was good. Then COVID happened. Your company closed down. Then you find yourself in the streets, no job, in a lockdown. What can you do? But now we are saying people who are resilient, they were able to think out of the box, because remember we said they have a flexible mindset. They don't see things like bad or good. They know they are not so good. They are kind of good things, and they're able to work through a situation and look at that setback, because most people really experienced very serious setbacks. But there are people who used that setback as a stepping stone, and they actually came back, you know, stronger than they were. There are people who never went back to their jobs. Even after COVID-19, people were now supposed to go back to work. There are people who just resigned and they were able to pick up and get better than they were before. Yeah. So those are some of the skills that you can train on, basic life skills. Yeah. Because life skills, basically, they are skills that enable you to maneuver and to navigate challenges of life. And by the end of the day, they help you to adapt. Yeah. So life skills is something that you can train on, and it helps you to build your resilience. Thank you. Back to you.
That is quite a very good answer, because it gives us a lot of things to think about. And I'm thinking about all those skills that you've mentioned, and each one of them is a task on its own. Before you can, well, first of all, they build on each other, and beyond that, learning each one of them helps you become a better person in very different ways. Like, all of them are important skills, and together they make you a Superman or Superwoman, depending on who you are. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing those skills. I hope that in future we can touch on some of these skills and how to build them. When we speak about assertiveness, I am sure there's somebody who's asking what's the difference between assertiveness and aggressiveness. How do I become more assertive? In which situations do I even apply assertiveness? How do I apply assertiveness without seeming like a bad person? Anger management, all those, stress management, all those are skills that I think we would do well to do some work around those, like train people a little bit more on some things that they can do on a daily basis to address these things, because those skills are very, very important, as you've said, and they're basic life skills. Everybody needs this. And of course, me as a person who loves self-awareness, it's my favorite skill on the planet. I highly encourage that everybody goes and reads about self-awareness. You're going to find out that it's the best of the best. It's the best skill ever, and it teaches you so many things about yourself, about the world, and about other people. So practice self-awareness, read about self-awareness, ask questions. Yeah, do a lot of research about that particular topic. Thank you so much, Marylin, for that. Now, as we come to the end of this conversation, we have gotten a lot of information from you. But there's one thing that I think would serve us very well, and that is to, if you can give us like a framework of building resilience. How can you become more resilient beyond practicing the skills? If you can break it down for us into like a packaged pill that you can swallow, something very simple that you can follow every day and apply in our lives so that you can become more resilient. What framework would you give us that you can start applying right now?
Thank you, Jenny. As we conclude, yeah, it's good to give something to our viewers tonight. Some sort of tips, yeah, a framework that you can work with, yeah, for a start. Now that we have started this journey of building our resilience, because that is where we want to see everyone, you know, because this life, you know, it's a journey, and life is not a dress rehearsal. So we wouldn't wish anybody to go through this life just surviving. We'd want to see more people thrive regardless of what challenges they go through. Because for sure, one thing I want to promise people is that challenges will always be there. As long as you live, challenges will always be there. So today I want us to look at 7 C's model. This gives us some tips that you can easily remember about what are some of the things, you know, that I can use as a strategy to improve my resilience. Number 1, the first C is confidence. What do we mean by confidence? Confidence is basically believing in yourself. Yeah, there's nothing more powerful in this world than believing in yourself. Because I know people who know nothing, people who are not educated, but they believe in themselves. You meet that person and is full of confidence, and they sell to you whatever they have. You cannot even question their credentials because of the self-confidence that they give, you know. So self-confidence is about believing in yourself. As simple as that. Because when you don't believe in yourself, who else do you expect to believe in you? Nobody. No one will believe in you. If you don't believe in yourself, it has to start from you. Because people will take you at the face value that you put. Yeah? Like you go to the supermarket and you find an item like this pen. It's already priced. There's a value. There's a price for that pen. And for me, the buyer, I will either take it or leave it. And I will not bargain, because there's a price and there's a value for that item. That is how self-confidence works. When you present yourself as a confident person, this is what people see. This is what people take you for. Yeah. So it's a very key thing in life when you want to build yourself, yourself in terms of being resilient. Next, number 2, we have another C, competence. If you are writing somewhere, just note that competence. What is competence? If I may ask, let's say, for example, you have gone through a certain setback, competence is just about, do you believe that you have what it takes? Do you have what it takes to move you from this level A to level B, to move you from down where you are to where you want to be? The competence, it is a skill. Do you have what it takes to handle whatever comes your way? Because these things, as I said, they will always be there. And if your answer is yes, you are halfway there. You are almost there. The reason I'm saying that, remember Jennifer talked about cognitive distortions. These are in our thought processes. I normally tell our clients that all the battles that we see, whether it is in the athletics field, whether it is the physical battles, whatever, whether it is spiritual battles, all the battles are won in the mind. If you win anything in the mind, in the physical realm, you are going to win it. Even in an exam, let's say, for example, you want to do an exam and you are sure you have already fought that battle in your mind, you have made peace with that, I'm going to pass this exam. That battle, when you win it in the mind, you for sure you're going to win it in the physical space. This takes us to number 3. The other C is connect. Connect takes us back to the way I said human beings are social animals. Nobody is an island. You cannot live in this world alone. Just find a way to connect. Yeah? But remember what I said? Only quality people. Are these people who are going to add value to your life? Are they people of substance in the first place? Remember, you are looking for tips, strategies that you can use when you find yourself, you are down there. And then you go to a negative person, a pessimistic person. What do you expect? If you are connecting to a pessimist, what do you expect? They will bring you down. You'll go and tell them, oh, I was sacked yesterday. I lost my job. Yeah. Then they will tell you, you are finished. Go to the village. Just pack and go to the village. That is a pessimist. But someone who is positive, open-minded, they will tell you, oh, so what was your job? And then you tell them, I was an accountant. Then they'll tell you, do you know you can do some jobs online? They will now start opening you to other possibilities. They're going to open your eyes to see, oh, these closed doors was actually a way of showing you so many other open doors and avenues that you can explore. And then number 4, the other C is...
Actually, even before you proceed, I want to remind guys that what you've just said right now is very, very connected to everything we've been speaking about. And it's that thing for seeing possibility in other places. Just because one thing has stopped working does not mean that everything has stopped working. So, for example, even what you've said right now, this person, an optimist, will help you see that there are other options that you can pursue. Just because you've lost your job or just because you've gone through something difficult, it does not mean that everything has shut down. And so the optimist shows you that they have resilience in the sense that they are able to see these other options that they can pursue, that you can pursue, even when you're in your darkest and hardest place in life, right? So again, all these things tie together. Connect each one of them, connect all these C's together, and you're going to find the framework is very applicable to every single thing you're doing. And you will start seeing it manifesting itself, even in the relationships that you have. Anyway, Marylin, continue.
Thank you, Jennifer, for that that input. It makes it clear, very clear, how an optimistic person will see it and how pessimistic person will see it, and that makes the difference. Yeah. So watch who you connect with. Yeah. And then now we go to the next C. The next C is character. Character is all about your moral values, your morals, your value system. What are your personal belief system? Now that we are saying connect all these C's, Number one, you have confidence. You believe in yourself. You have competence. You have what it takes. You are connecting to only quality people. And now, these quality people reflecting your values and morals, you know, because in whatever you do, or rather whatever action you want to take, you have to reflect your values, your morals, and your belief system, because we all come in different shapes and sizes. We have different values, different morals, and different personal beliefs. So these people you are connecting with, you need to know, are they aligned to my values and my morals? You know, what is my take? Yeah, what is my sense of right and wrong? Remember, you are from up there, we are saying connect these C's. And the last C is connect. Are these people, you know, in the same direction as you are? Yeah. So you need to explore that aspect of what are my values, what are my morals, what is my belief systems. Does it give me the sense of right and wrong? Yeah. You have to explore that option, that aspect as well. And this takes us to our next C. The next C is contribution. The word contribution. What does that mean? Back to the first C, confidence. You are feeling that you believe in yourself. Confidence that you believe in yourself. Competence that you feel that you have what it takes. Connecting, you are connecting to quality people. And then your characters, your values and morals are in line with what you believe. Now, the next question is, or rather the next C is contribution. Ask yourself, does this world need me? Yeah. What is the value that I'm bringing to this world? Because when you ask yourself, remember we said self-awareness is a key skill that we need to learn, all of us. Yeah. Am I contributing to something bigger than myself in this world? Because when you are contributing to something that is larger than yourself, you give it all. And you realize life is not egocentric. It's not about me. I'm here to serve other people. And that's why, now that we are building resilient, you will realize, okay, I am in deep trouble. I am down there. But because I do not just exist for my own, I need to make a positive contribution on the face of the earth. Because remember, we are human beings. Our lives have an expiry date. At some point, we are not here for infinity. We are passing away. Yeah. What will me, Marylin, be remembered of? Yeah. What will you, Jennifer, people remember you of? Did you touch someone's life in your lifetime? Yeah. In fact, I tell people sometimes I sit back and reflect and wonder, if I collapse today and die, what will my friends say? What will my colleagues say? What will you say as a tribute to me? Yeah. Because that will come out from the way I contributed. What contribution did I make in this world? Yeah. Because when you think in those lines, surely you'll get up from whatever it is. You'll realize I don't just exist for my own. I need to make a contribution in this world. I need to leave a mark on the face of the earth before I check out. And that gives you that sense of purpose, like I need to pick up myself. Yes, I've fallen down, but I need to pick up myself, dust off that dust, and get moving. Yeah. And that takes us to another C. That is number 6, the coping strategies. When you talk about coping strategies, we are saying these are strategies that will help you as a person to give you the stamina, the strength to know how to maneuver. You know, like the way snake moves, you know, maneuvering, negotiating the corners. And we said life, it's not a straight line because the world itself is not straight. It has it is a circle. It is crooked. Actually, when you look at the shape of the earth, it is just, you know, the formless, you know. So coping strategies, these you need to develop them, because this is what you need for you to be able now to navigate those challenges when they come. Because remember, we said from the beginning of this show, you cannot live a trouble-free day. Every day will always present challenges, you know. As long as you live your life, it will always serve you with challenges. Where if it's not this one, it is this one. You know, life itself is a journey. It is a challenge itself. and it will present you new challenges each and every single day. So
Actually,
you, Mhm.
yeah. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to mention that as you're listening to this, connect those skills that have just been mentioned in the previous point. There's a point where Marilyn mentioned a bunch of skills: communication, effective communication, self-awareness, coping, stress management, anger management, all those skills that she mentioned. Now pick them all and just put them under the coping strategies to help you understand this particular statement, because Marilyn is making a very important point here, and those coping strategies will help you deal with the difficult things that crop up, and that helps you now become more resilient. Carry on, Marilyn.
Thank you, Jennifer, for that input. Yes, very true. Once you look at this 7Cs model, they will connect you back to those skills. And we say there are actually a bunch of skills. There are about 10 something skills, right? But the first basic skill is self-awareness, whereby you build all other life skills on it. And we will be bringing more of those skills on this show as time goes on, so that we make sure we are building a next generation that is self-aware, that is resilient, and that is ready for tomorrow, because nobody knows what tomorrow will bring. Yeah. So this takes us to the 7th C. This is control. Take control. What is control? Sometimes I hear people say, imeshakuwa. Ishakuwa, imeshakuwa. What does that mean? Seriously? On issues of life, I keep on asking myself, yeah?
Sikiwa mraba, so ishakuwa, saa tafanya.
Does it mean, and I keep asking myself, does it mean now that ishakuwa, that is the end of the story? No, I tell people you have to write another script.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the story. You just have to write another story. If something has happened, it's just like this book. And I realized maybe I have come to the last page of the book. What do? You write another book, yeah? Or you open another chapter. So sometimes when we think we have come to the end of the road, depending on where the perspective where you are looking at things from, it can actually be very exciting, and you are like, oh, so this is over. What does that mean? I need to buy myself a new book and write a new chapter, and I cannot write a new chapter when this book is full. So I need to put that one aside and write a new book. Yeah. So it depends on the perspective that you have. And this is very key, point number 7, because this is where, and I like it now that is the last C, yeah? Because this is going to tie together all the other C's. Yeah. And this, when I say control, it means take charge. Take charge of your destiny. Yeah. Do you let fate decide for you? Yeah. Something happens, it's not your choice. It has happened by chance. And then you're like, I am so unlucky in life. You remember the black and white thinking? I am so unlucky in life. Things have just happened to me. I have no way out. You feel like you have been put in this boardroom and it's already locked, and there's no way out when you are not in charge. But when you're in charge, you realize, I have to take charge of my destiny. I cannot let other people decide my destiny. Yeah, I remember during post-election violence. Let me just mention that so that we can relate with taking control. Yeah, many people were affected. Yeah, but I know people who lost everything, and that was traumatic. And for sure, if you lost everything and you were not resilient, there are people who are not able to pick up to this moment, more than 10 years ago. Actually, it's more than 10 years ago. But at the same time, I know there are people who were able to bounce back, who took charge and realized this one has happened. This book has been closed. Now I need to open a new chapter and write a new script. And that is exactly what happened. So in this 7Cs model, and the last point being control, I'm telling our viewers tonight that you need to take charge, take control. Don't let other people decide your fate, don't let the circumstances take charge and determine your future, because your future, we normally say, it's always bright. Nobody knows what lies in tomorrow, but you can make it or break it if you let other people take charge and take control of yourself. So at this point, which is the point number 7 and is the last C that we are discussing tonight, I want to remind our viewers that you need to take charge. Don't let fate decide for you. Don't resign to fate. Don't resign to what has happened. You just say, okay, I lost my job, so it is fine. I'll be begging, surely. For how long? Yeah, that is just a fate. It is a bad luck. But does it mean you stay there? No. In this show tonight, when we are learning about being resilient, we are learning that things will happen. Yes. So what do? Pick up yourself, dust yourself up, dress up, and show up again like nothing happened, and be ready to start afresh, because we said it's good to have a positive outlook about life. Don't get stuck in your past. Yeah. And I just want to remind people that you have the power to influence the outcome of your future, of what you want to do. The power is in you. So take control. So thank
Yeah.
you so much. Those are the 7 C's model. And I take it back to you, Jennifer, for any input. Thank you.
Yeah, that is quite brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I'm sure somebody is listening today and they feel renewed and rejuvenated to go out there and make things happen. I am a huge advocate for the thing that you just said right now of taking charge. I'm a firm believer that nobody should live their life as a spectator of their life. Be an active participant. Wewe ingia tu kwa ring ucheze. Don't wait to be given permission to be an active participant in your life. It might look like you do not have enough power, or you do not have enough influence, you don't know enough people, you don't have, maybe you think you're not rich enough or good looking enough, or you don't have enough education. Well, usikubali all those limitations. All those limitations are man-made. Most of them are man-made. And the only way that you can beat them, if you don't have the capacity to go and like rectify them, if you think it's something that needs rectification, the most you can do, actually, the least you can do is just throw yourself in the ring. Do not sit on the sidelines. Do not be a spectator. Do not watch as your life unfolds. Be an active participant in your life. What that means is wake up in the morning and do whatever you can on that day to live the best life ever. Sit down, plan the future that you have always envisioned for yourself, and do everything within your power to execute that plan, to make sure that you become everything that you want to be. I keep saying, there's this thing I hear people asking, how do you discover yourself? How do you find out who you are and where you're going? Me, I'm an advocate and a firm believer that there's no time to discover yourself. You just create yourself. Wake up in the morning, decide I want to become X, Y, and Z, and then do everything within your power to create that future. Make that future a reality. And that is how you become an active participant in your life. That's how you take control in your life. If you want to become a doctor, that is the future you foresee for yourself. You want in the next 10 years to be a daktari. Wake up every morning and create daktari. What does daktari do every morning? Wake up and become daktari. Do everything that daktari does. Go to school, study, apply for those scholarships, apply for whatever you need to apply for. Go knock on doors, ask people for help. Because when you need help and you don't ask for it, people don't help you. So knock on those doors, ask for help, enroll everybody who you can find to help you on your journey, because people are willing to help you if only you will speak up. So usikae, if you're struggling with something, don't sit there in silence and think, oh my gosh, now my life is just the way it is. I have struggled. I do not have enough X, Y, and Z to become whatever I want to become. That is victim mentality. Let's go for actively participating in our own lives, actively building the lives that you want. Don't spend too much time thinking about discovering yourself. Spend more time creating yourself, creating a future for yourself, and then being an active participant in that future. Don't let things happen to you. And if they happen to you, as Marylin said, get up, dust yourself off. Remember, the goal here is to be resilient. That means dust yourself off. Take the lessons that you've learned in that particular issue that you have gone through, whatever it is, you've learned something. Everything is a learning experience. Take the lessons and then use those lessons to make the next time much better, to make the next experience much better. So that is being an active participant. And I know you might be listening and you're thinking, oh my gosh, these people are ni wakali bana, wananitetesha. Hatukuteteshi. I don't want you to sit there and think we don't have empathy for your situation, because even as you have gone through difficult things, all of us have gone through something difficult. And sitting there and crying, self-pity, throwing a pity party does not make your situation better. Whatever excuse you have, this is a quote I had somewhere and I've always loved it and I always repeat it to myself. Whatever excuse you have for not doing something, whatever excuse, no matter what it is valid, but it will not get you the results you want. So you need to get up and actually leave those excuses where they are. It does not matter what happened. It happened, learn from it, move forward. So I highly encourage that you take everything that Marylin has mentioned today, because I think that is very, very important. Yeah, thank you so much, Marylin, for your time. Thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you so much for educating us. That 7Cs model is brilliant, and I can't wait to put it up for everybody to hear this, to read about it, to learn more about it. That has been just a wonderful, wonderful session. Thank you so much for coming through and teaching us this particular thing. I don't know if you have any specific resources you want to recommend to people who want to learn more about resilience that you think that they can explore tonight or even tomorrow if they want to start tomorrow. We're going to allow you one more night of procrastination, by the way. But then kutoka kesho tuko serious. So I don't know if you have any resources you want to recommend, Marylin, for somebody who wants to start becoming resilient as soon as possible.
Maybe I can say this as we close it up, yeah?
Yes.
Because
yes.
today was just the beginning. Number one, for anybody who want to learn resilience, they better keep it here, you know. Subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram for more informative and for more transformative sessions like this one, because this is a journey that we are starting and we are going to take you through all these skills, yeah? So this will be your number one resource. This is the first place you want to come to for whatever resources that you want. And again, I also like to mention, like Jennifer is saying, if you really feel like you need to know how to, you need to be helped, you know, you can always seek services of a therapist, a mentor, or a coach. If you want to have it directly, like one-on-one, you're like, Mimi, all those things you're saying, it's too much of theory. I just want something practical. I want to learn how to be resilient. Remember, we said for you to want to know how to be resilient, there are courses. There are things that will happen to you in life that for sure you will need now to remember, I had it somewhere that I can be resilient. You know, things like you can get a bad medical report. You can lose a very close family friend, and that will bring you down. You can lose a job. You can lose property. You can go through a traumatic experience like rape, you know, domestic violence. These are things that can happen to you and they bring you down, and you are like, before I apply the theory part of resilience, I need help. So we want to tell you tonight that you can reach out to us and we can have a direct conversation with you, direct, you know, therapy to help you first to be on your feet, so that now going on as we now build on skills, you are able to be, you are somewhere, you feel like you are somewhere and you are on a level ground whereby now you can move forward. We can also engage the services of a mentor. We do mentorship, we do coaching. So these are some of the resources that I would request you to connect with. Anytime that you'd want to hear from us, feel free, connect with us on our social media handles. Thank you so much. And just as I finish, I just want to mention, like what Jennifer has said, do not take a back seat in your life. This is your life. I tell my clients that life is like a movie, and you are the main actor in that movie. You are the producer. You are the director. What will happen when you realize that the script that you are watching is not what you wanted? You just write another script. Let's say you are the person behind the camera and you realize the shot that I've taken, the photo, the picture that I'm not liking what I'm seeing. What do? You just take another shot. Yeah. So just to reinforce what Jennifer has said, don't take a back seat. Be an active participant in your life. This is your life, and it happens only once. There are no dress rehearsals. Yeah. You live it like there is no tomorrow, because by the end of the day, today is the only day you have. Yeah. So our viewers, thank you so much for your time, and I give it back to you, Jennifer, to conclude from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Marylin. That is brilliant. You are full of wisdom, and we are happy to have you here because you have taught us a lot. We have learned. And I want anybody who has been listening to this, drop in the comment section one thing that you're taking with you, even if it's one of the 7Cs. Just pick one and work on that particular one. So thank you very much, Marylin, for this wonderful and very, very educational and smart conversation we have had. I'm very happy to have had this with you. Readers, if you're out there and you're a reader like me, go and get Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck. It's a brilliant book. Go read that book for yourself. You're going to learn more about growth mindset and fixed mindset that Marylin mentioned somewhere. And yeah, that is a brilliant book. Go get it. It's by Carol Dweck. It's called Mindset. With that said, thank you guys for coming through. Thank you, Marylin, for your time. We will see you again in the next episode of Raising the Next Generation. As you've said, we are using child psychology and psychology concepts, principles to help you build a life that you are happy living, a life that you enjoy living. And if you're a parent, we're going to be using child psychology concepts to help you raise responsible children. So stay tuned to Safe Space Arena. Stay tuned for other episodes on Raising the Next Generation. And with that said, have a good night and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.